The Good Friday Gospel is taken from the Gospel of John, chapter 18. It is a story about the betrayal and arrest of Jesus, about how Jesus was sentenced to death, about the crucifixion of Jesus, and about the burial of Jesus. He was arrested, tied up, interrogated, tortured, and executed. After that, his executioners took and divided his clothes among themselves. The cross is always a story of suffering and death. There's just no way around it. How is it that something as brutal as this has happened and become the centerpiece of our faith? Some say that Jesus suffered and died because we are so bad. I don't agree. I think Jesus suffered and died because we suffer and die. Who among us today has not known suffering, loss, or sorrow? Who here has not wept and felt powerless at the suffering and loss of another? Who here has not in some way been touched and affected by death? The cross is not exclusive to Jesus. It's your story and my story. It's the story of those we love and those we hate. It's the story of those we know and those we will never meet. It's human story, and the cross stands in the middle of that story. How do you make sense of the cross? What do you do with the world's suffering? How do you understand your suffering? What explanations do you have for the tragedies of life? What do you say when someone asks you about her or his suffering? This is where I get stuck. Maybe we all do. I have no good answers or easy answers. Do you? In the midst of this insanity, the only thing I have is a God who suffers. Jesus is never more real, more human, more embodied, more identified with us than he is on the cross. It's not at his birth, or in his birth, in his teaching and preaching, or in the miracles he performs, or even at his resurrection. It's on the cross. It's in his suffering and dying. It is in our suffering and dying. Almost everyone ran away from Jesus' cross on the first Good Friday. I don't think it's because they were weak, unfaithful, or bad disciples. It's because the cross of our life is just too damn painful. We want to get away from it. We want to find something good in the horrific. We want to explain away the suffering. We want to make sense of that which makes no sense. We cannot, however, get around the cross of suffering and death. We can only go through it. Today does not offer answers to or escape from our sufferings. More than any other day in the church year, today holds our sufferings before us. It's a hard day. I don't like it. I don't want to face my sufferings. I suspect you don't either. But there is in the middle of our lives stands cross. What is your story of suffering and loss? When was a time you thought your heart couldn't break any more than it's already had? Who are the loved ones you've lost? What is the pain that never goes away? When has your world come to an end? When you have cried in the daytime but had no answer from God, or by night as well you found no rest? What suffering do you bring today? I wish I had answers and explanations, but I have none. I wish I could make sense of suffering for you and for me, but I can't. Jesus does not take away down from our cross. Instead, He gets up on the cross with us. That's all I have to offer you. Jesus does not take us down from our crosses. Instead, He gets up on the cross with us. Today is not called Easy Friday. It is not called Happy Friday. And it's not called Painless Friday. What is today called? Good Friday. In my languages, it's called Great Friday. Good Friday? Really? I don't know how or why it's called Good Friday. I can only trust that it is, and that somehow Good Friday is what carries us through our sufferings and death. It did yesterday, it is today, and it will be tomorrow.